Welcome to First String Podcast presented by Bet Rivers. Make sure you guys download the Bet Rivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. You must be 21 years or older to play. On today's episode of First String Podcast, we have XFL defensive coordinator Tim Lewis joining us. We will also have Carita Parks, NFL reporter, NBA reporter, and Mystics reporter as well, joining us to talk a little bit about the Commanders and mandatory minicamp, which we had 100% participation in today. We'll go a little bit around the league with Coach Lewis. We'll talk about the Miami Heat tying the series 1-1, and we'll look into the NHL playoffs where the Las Vegas Knights have a commanding 2-0 lead on the Panthers. Man, I hope y'all ready to go, man. We're going to have a fire show for y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Let's go.
Yeah. First String Podcast. Yeah. True Danny. Dre on the beat. You know. Yeah. What's your favorite squad? Tell me who you going with. First String Podcast. Yeah, we keep it lit. We got the latest updates. We don't pump fake. Like, comment, share. We don't care. Feel free to hate. We got great guests. Join us. You should chime in. Houdini on the intro for the time being. Lady A, representing Washington. Pick Washington, everything Washington. Mo coming out of Dallas, you know the business. Said, them Georgia Bulldogs ain't quitting. Yeah, if you ain't watching sports, you ain't living. About to get my mattress Mac on, about to bet a million. Let's talk about it. We all grown and cool, we can talk about it. Before we hit the news, we gon' talk about it. Oh, you wanna bet? Let's pop a bottle bow. Yeah.
Podcast presented by Bet Rivers. Download that Bet Rivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. You must be 21 years or older to play. Like I said, we have a fire show. All right. Okay. While we get a couple of other things straight, we're gonna bring in everybody right now. Let's bring in my main man, Stats and Fats. Say, what's up, man? How are you?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great. You feeling good?
Oh, for sure.
All right, listen. You got your right. Listen. All right.
That's an older Lady
A. Right. And speaking of Lady A, she's on assignment. So we know we got the peoples watching us, right? We got the peoples watching us. Let's try not to get no fines, or maybe we should get a record number of fines. Which way we gonna go? Let's ask Ant. Ant, we getting a ton of fines, or we getting no fines?
When Lady A's away, Aunt Mo come to play.
That's right. That's right.
Find me all you want to.
Fine.
She should have been here.
Hey. Ammo pays his fines in straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie. And it's funny money on top of that.
Yeah. The big face is going the wrong way.
All of them looking up like this.
Speaking of big faces, let's talk a little big face coffee. Jimmy Buckets, a.k.a. Jimmy Buckets of the Miami Heat tied up game 2. They came to play. They were more aggressive. Jokic went off for about 41. Murray slowed down a little bit. So my question to everyone in the chat, right, and y'all is this possible for them to keep this up?
No. First of all, I said it early. The way that they lose a game in this series is if the Nuggets have an off shooting night. That's not going to happen on a regular basis. And it's funny because Eric Spoelstra tried to get offended when the reporter asked about taking the ball out of his hands, forcing him to just do one thing, and he talked about how great he is. But the fact is this: when he's distributing and they're getting points outside of the 20 to 30, he's going to give you anyway. It makes all the difference in the series and in any game that he's a part of. I don't see Denver continuing to not let Murray get going until the fourth quarter. even though I think that they can present problems as being a tough, gritty defensive team in Miami, but Miami might not win another game. That's just the reality.
Right. Okay, say it.
Yeah, might not win another game. Well, I already said. I said it was going to be Denver in 6. Miami still is one of the best road teams out there. Now I will say this: if Miami wins one of these games at home, it's gonna go to full 7 games because they already proved to the Joker that we can let you score all the points you want to and keep everybody else from scoring. Keep the game closer to the fourth quarter, and then we can take over. That's what the Joker them learned in this game 2 loss. The only difference is Miami jumped out early. And and it still goes back. Them guys are missing wide open shots. They won that game. But I'm talking about in the playground. Hey, throw me the ball, dog. Nah. You're supposed to be making those, dog.
You're a pro.
You get paid millions. You're supposed to be making those.
Right.
But I already said Denver in 6. But if Miami win one of the games at home, that's going to change.
Hey, I think that
this is my no concern for what Sid is talking about.
Really?
Hey,
listen, I think that this
Sid is 2-0.
Miami and 5, and I'm 1-1.
You said Miami and 5?
You said Miami and 5.
Denver and 5. My bad.
Listen, he really knows where it's going.
I had a long weekend.
Oh, well, long. Okay, listen. Miami showed heart. Right, Nolan notes, you're absolutely right. Miami showed heart. The question now is, will Denver show heart in Miami? Because it's never really a series until you win on your opponent. Hey, Morgan, and I see you. I want to say shouts out to Bruce Glass, Drew, Racer for Life, Mr. Kennedy, which we're going to talk about your question. We're going to ask that question of all our guests all month. And, of course, Harlem Shake Hawk in the building. Thank you all for jumping in with us. We really, really appreciate you. Racer for Life said it's going 7. He said it's going 7. And then Nolan Notes also said you got to respect the Heat's journey. There are no slouches, or right. So me myself, I think that the Heat will wind up winning the next game. I think this is going to be. It's a series now. Said Tyler Hero is possibly coming back here in a little bit.
Not game 3. Nope. That hand's still acting up.
Okay. All right. He said Adam Silver, or is it David Stern going 2-0 or go 2.0 for 7? Yeah, because all of those series used to go 7 back in the day with David Stern. Everything was going to game 7. Everything.
Come on, man.
Everything was going game 7. All right, Ant, you still effort in there to get Coach?
Yeah, I think it might be his web browser. Oh, no, there he goes.
There he goes.
All right.
Listen.
Cool.
Hey, we are about to bring in one of the baddest coaches, NFL, XFL, that you guys have ever seen. We're going to talk ball with Coach Timothy Lewis right now.
Okay.
Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties here, but
no worries. It was probably Ant.
No, it was definitely. I got the link from him. Don't worry. I fixed it. That's why you're on here now, Coach. Don't worry.
Okay. All right.
Great leadership always blames the other people, don't they?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Our success depends on it.
Right, Coach.
Yes,
Coach,
sir.
I would like for you to. I was on your wiki and I was like, man, you've been around, right?
Yeah.
I posted a certain picture for one of our co-hosts here. I'm not going to tell you which one of us is a fan of the Falcons, but one of us is. Can you go down the list of teams that you've coached and how long you coached in the NFL, and then tell us about your XFL journey as well?
Okay, so I coached 8 years of college football after I got hurt in a Monday night game with the Bears. I did 2 years at Texas A&M. I did 4 years at SMU, and then I went to my alma mater with Johnny Majors for 2 years, and then I got called by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So my first team in the NFL was the Steelers. I was there for 9 years, 5 years as a DB coach and 4 years as the coordinator. And then I got hired by Tom Coughlin with the New York Giants, and I was his coordinator for 3 years. Left New York and went to the Carolina Panthers with John Fox. I was a secondary coach there for 2 years. I went out to Seattle for a year with Jim Mora, coached his secondary for a year. After, we got fired in Seattle, I came to the Atlanta Falcons, and I worked for Mike Smith for 5 years. And then when Smitty got fired, our staff got fired here in Atlanta, I went to work for Jim Tomsula with the San Francisco 49ers for a year. So all told, 21 years in the NFL. And then I got bounced out of the NFL. I fell off the carousel, so to speak. 16, 17, I didn't work in the NFL. 18, I tried to get another job, but couldn't get one. But I got called to be the head coach, general manager of the Birmingham team and the new Alliance of American Football League. So the spring football carousel started for me. I started 2019. I was the head coach of the Birmingham Iron, and then in that league went under financially, and then I signed on to do the next spring, 2020, was with the St. Louis Battlehawks for Jonathan Hayes was the head coach, and so I was his co-coordinator with his brother Jay Hayes, and then that one went under. COVID knocked us out of the box there. 2021, I did nothing, and then 2022, the spring of 22, I worked for Kevin Sumlin's Houston Gamblers. I was his defensive coordinator for the Houston Gamblers in the USFL. And then I got a call from Bob Stoops, and he asked if I'd be interested in being his defensive coordinator for the Arlington Renegades, the champion Arlington Renegades, I might add.
Okay.
Say that again. Say that one more time. The champion Arlington Renegade. Y'all defeated who now? Y'all defeated the
Defenders.
DC Defenders.
Yeah, they didn't defend.
Hey, don't interrupt the guest, man. That's rude.
So we won the championship game, and this past year, 2023, I was the co-coordinator with Jay Hayes again with the Arlington Renegades, and had a great time doing it. So that brings you up to speed with where I am. I coached a little high school football along the way. I've been working with my son since he was in 5th grade. So now he's he's a rising junior. So I've coached at all the schools that he's been at: Centennial High School. I've coached at Blessed Trinity High School, Pinecrest High School, working with Terrence Mathis and his Pinecrest Paladins. So I've had a lot of coaching go on over the last couple of years. So it's been a lot.
It's a coaching life for you. It's a coaching life for you.
It really is. I got a chance to. Let's see, my brother has been in football as well. My brother is Hines Ward's GM there with the San Antonio Brahmas in this XFL league. And my brother was with the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid. He was with the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers with Mike Holmgren. He's been in scouting, and he was smart. He didn't do the coaching thing. He did the scouting thing. And he's got 2 sons that play football. And I had the pleasure of coaching my nephew with the Houston Gamblers this past spring, and then of course they both of his sons played for him in San Antonio this past spring. So it was really a neat connection.
Nice.
Coach, hold on, let me slide in there real quick, because I'm listening to this window of between 16 and 20 where there was a lot of adversity, a lot of up in the air. What is the thing that kept you going through there? Because a lot of people would have just shut it down and did something else for far less. So what was the thought process going through all of those shifts and changes?
Well, I always wanted to become a head coach, and I had an opportunity to become a head coach. All of what I don't recall the fellow's name that had the issues with the Miami Dolphins, but all of what he went through, I've experienced.
Nice.
Nice. Years ago. So all of what, the sham interviews and all that kind of stuff, I've gone through all that. I've interviewed for eight or nine. 8 or 9 head jobs in the NFL, and I never got one. So what drives me was that to answer your question, the to be looked at as someone who's worthy of getting an opportunity to coach it at that level. I came close a couple of times apparently, but I never was given an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL, which was kind of my dream. So that's that's what we all do. We all work towards something, and my goal is A, to get back into the NFL, and B, to become a head coach in the NFL. And I know my window is closing. I'm 61 now, and kind of enjoying my twilight years, if you will. Now that uh, I started late with kids, so I have an 18-year-old, 16, and a 14-year-old. So it's kind of nice, I see, to be able to enjoy, you know, their middle school years, their high school years, and kind of watch them and be a present dad. Whereas an NFL coach is you're not overly present with regards to your family. So
Yeah,
this has been kind of nice.
nice, Coach. I gotta ask you a question before we get into the XFL real fast about. uh, I'm hearing a ton of NFL experience as a player, as well as being a coach. Well, we're into OTAs. Well, we're out of OTAs. We're into mini camps now. What do you, as a coach, look for in OTAs from whatever team you coach? And then I want you to, well, tell us first about, as a player, what are you guys trying to accomplish in OTAs?
Hmm.
As players, is it the camaraderie? Is it the brotherhood? What are you guys trying to
No,
accomplish?
the players want to go home. They don't want nothing to do with OTAs.
Right.
The players want time off. They want to get healthy. They want to get time with their families. They want to hang out. They want a vacation. They want to spend some of that money that they made. The players don't necessarily. They can work out wherever. They can. There's gyms all over the country. There's track and fields all over the country, and football fields, and people to throw with and throw to. Players want time. They want time away, and they want rest and relaxation. They want to hang out. And then there's a time to grind, and sometimes during the off season, some of them would just as soon not grind quite so much. And yeah, the collective bargaining agreement has helped them over the course of years. I remember, when we first started with the OTA thing, it's coaching sessions, OTAs, phase one, phase two, phase three. I mean, yeah, I've gone through all of that, and I've gone through all the phases of what we can make them do, what we can require them to do, what's mandatory, what's not mandatory. So nowadays they've got it down to a science now. I think they all have to wear those little rugby helmets and all that kind of stuff. They do as much as they can to try to uh, keep them safe during the off season, and not wear them out. And I think their union has done a fantastic job of helping them with that. From a coach's perspective, the coaches, let's see, your off season, it really starts like right after your last game. So depending on how far you go into the playoffs, if you've made the playoffs or whatever, you start right off the bat with evaluating your free agents, start grading your players, start trying to figure out where do we need to spend our money, who do we need to go after, who do we need to get, who's going to be a free agent, and how do we get them onto our team. And then, of course, once the free agency period takes its course, um, you start looking at the draft eligible players. You start preparing for the draft in April. So now you've got the Senior Bowl, you've got the East-West Shrine Game, you've got the Combine, you've got individual college workouts. You've got to start preparing your board for the draft, and who we're going to take, and then free agents, and how are we going to fill the roster up to go to training camp. And then, of course, you have to start looking at your playbook. All the while you're still looking at, like, you spend half of the day evaluating college talent, preparing for the draft, and then you spend the other half of the day looking at, okay, if I'm a defensive coach, I want to know who was the best run defense in the league, who was the best pass defense in the league, who was the best third down, short yardage, goal line, 2 minute, all those situations. Who are the best groups in the league, and let's study them and see if we're doing something in our playbook, that is keeping us from becoming really good. Is it a player issue? Is it a scheme issue? Can we do something different that will aid us? And so you're tweaking your playbook and you're correcting your playbook and all that kind of stuff, doing evaluations of players, trying to prepare for the draft. And then, of course, the draft happens. And once the draft happens, now you've got mini camps. Now you've got the OTAs. Now you've got the players actually back in the building. Now all those changes that you were tweaking and trying to figure out how to become better. Well, now you've got your guys that you can actually go out on the field with, and now it becomes a little bit more fun. You go out on the field, you start implementing some of the changes, maybe a technique change, maybe a player a free agent that came to you is like, oh my God, he's really good. Man, I'm glad we got him. Or, oh, he's not quite as good as we thought he was going to be. Man, I hope he plays better in the fall when we start here in September. But you try to figure out all those kind of things, and you go through your practices. You put together your practices thinking about the season. What are we going to do? Are we going to tweak some things? Are we going to be a 4-3? Are we going to be a 3-4? Are we going to implement some more blitzes? Are we going to not blitz so much? Boy, this kid really did not do a very good job at this. How can we help him? Maybe he's just not good at that. So it's a big realization period, for an NFL, team or offense, defense during the off season. You're just trying to figure out what it is that you're going to try to do, who you're going to do it with, and how you're going to do it. And then of course you get your mini camp, and there's, they have it all structured. How many days you can actually be in the building, how many hours you can be on the field, how many hours you can be in the classroom, in the weight room. So it's all structured. And then of course they take a little bit of a break, and then they jump right back into it here in July, and back to training camp. Players show up, and we're off to the races. We'll start the preseason games, and we're right back into it. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Say it.
I mean, my question is, yes, you got the OTAs, you got the mini camps. If you not even say isolate, if you see a player that you knew was struggling at a certain position the year before, yes, he's under contract, but if he's still struggling at that position, why is it instead of them trying someone else, they continue to push that same person out there? Just give me an idea behind it. The idea, what's the mindset behind that?
Well, there's a couple of them. We all think that we can develop, make chicken salad out of chicken shit. We all think that. We all think that we can do that. Every coach worth his salt, thinks that he can build a better computer. I can build a better guy. I can make him better. And then when you couple that with the fact that the owner is sitting there saying, I have given that guy a lot of money. You need to make him better. So if you can't make him better, then I got to do something with you. Because see, the players are on the salary cap. There's a limit that they can spend. And when you cut someone that you pay a lot of money to, that money gets accelerated. I don't know if you're familiar with how the cap works. Coaches aren't on the cap.
Nope.
So it's easier to change a coach out than it is a player.
I think last year the NFL had was it 8 billion? Was it 8 billion or 80 million in coaching salaries? And I think a lot of that
difference
from it. Yeah, it is.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. And I think the Houston Texans was responsible for a bulk of that with the number of coaches that they've gone through. Yeah. So, Coach, we want to keep you, and I understand that you said you'd be here with us as long as possible. Yeah. We have Miss Carita Parks coming here in a little bit. However, we have a question of the month that we would like you to answer. Okay. Aunt, was you with us Saturday? You wasn't with us Saturday, so Aunt, you're gonna have to answer this question as well. So this question comes from our guy Dump Truck Don, who is actually in the chat right now, and his question of the month is this: your top 5 NFL players, regardless of position.
Oh my God, that's great. That's a great one. Oh man. Well, I'm a skilled athlete, right? So, but I respect greatness. I when I think of greatness, the best ever and all that kind of stuff, the GOAT, somebody that absolutely changed the game, that the rules had to be changed for, or that they completely impacted the game, somebody that you absolutely had to prepare for, I mean, all the time. So the number one guy for me would be Lawrence Taylor.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So and I'm a defensive guy, so the next
Right.
guy for me would be Reggie White. I mean, you just couldn't
Okay.
stop him there. He was just a force that no matter what they tried to do to him, double team him, triple team him, he was still able to get over 100 sacks and be completely disruptive. Of course, Jim Brown, you know, when I watch the clips now, I'm 61 and I got a chance to watch him just a little bit. I see him more now on clips and highlights, but I marvel that I saw something ESPN did a couple of days ago. Now that he's passed, they made mention of this. He did all of what he did in only 9 seasons. On
Right.
a season was only like 12 or 14 games, and so I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, nobody tackled that son of a gun. I mean, you just couldn't get.
Right.
And then I watched the highlights, and literally 4, 5, 6, 7 people would hit him on every play, and they knew that they had to stop this one human being, and they still couldn't do it when the whole game plan was, you know, devised to stop just that guy. You know, that's incredible to me. So there's 3. I think from a quarterback perspective, I think what Tom Brady has done, you know, I don't know that anybody else will. You know, that's a lot of Super Bowls. That's a lot of winning. You know, for a dude to thrown to Wes Welker and Amendola and Troy Brown and
Deion Branch.
Ocho Cinco and Deion Branch. He's thrown to, I mean, he's thrown to a bunch of different dudes, and it was always the same result. You know, he's going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's really impressive to me. So that would be 4.
Can I offer the last one?
No,
well,
you got your own 5. You can't give Coach
He's saying
5.
my list. He's saying my list right now. Honestly,
I think you're copying his list.
no, I'm being dead serious. I'm not like you.
You know, somebody that there was never anybody else quite like was Barry Sanders to me. You know, I remember we were playing the Detroit Lions, and this was like my second year as the defensive coordinator. No, this is my, yeah. So it's my second year as a coordinator, and I'm up in the press box, you know, and Coach Cower's on the field, and we had put in some defenses designed to stop Barry. There's a technique in football. Sometimes you want the runner to actually run towards the sideline. We call that a spill technique. So we don't want the running back to come downhill, straight down the middle of the field. So we try to get him to, you know, to hit the sidelines, and we try to use the sidelines as our 12th defender.
Yep.
So we spilled everything with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We spilled everything. We never wanted to contain anything because we didn't want them to come north. So we get to the Barry week, and we're playing Detroit, and ironically enough, you'll remember the game because it was the game that the official called the wrong heads or tails for Jerome Bettis. You know,
Right.
so it was that game. So
That was Thanksgiving.
Yes. I'm sitting up in the press box, and I called a defense, and Carnell Lake was, we moved him from safety to corner. And I got so mad because Carnell, he came up, you know, he was on the edge, and Barry came up and made a move on him and bounced outside of him. And I was like screaming. I was like, God dang, Carnell, God, just put Carnell on the headset. I'm going to yell at him. And Cower gets on the headset and says, Tim, shut the F up. Barry's made a lot of people look like that. I learned a valuable lesson right then and there. He's like, you know what? You got to respect greatness. And Barry was way different than a lot of dudes. You know, the guy that played for the San Diego Chargers, you know, reminded me of him. But I still like Barry. So those would be my 5.
I got you. Ant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going Jim Brown. I'm not putting Barry in there, and I'm not putting Tom in there. Respectfully, I hate Tom, but anyway, I will go Jerry Rice. I will go Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
But then I gotta put Deion Sanders in there, man.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
You gotta put. I mean, he's the
You were a
greatest.
star.
No, because he's the greatest cornerback ever. I mean, let's just keep it simple.
He is. You
So
said players, though, right?
Yes,
You said player, right?
players. Yeah,
Okay.
players.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's the greatest cornerback all time. I mean, I coach Rod Woodson, so I'm kind of biased there too. But yeah.
And come on,
I'm
you got Carita.
thinking about the last one. Calm yourself here, Pick. It's okay. I'm trying to think of my last one. I don't know, man. I'm struggling with that one. We're gonna have to come back. Because I can't think of my fifth right now. I'm sorry, I can't think of a fifth. It's gotta be goat, man.
I screwed up too. And if I were to take one out and put one in, yeah, Jerry Rice was way different. And maybe I would have taken Tom Brady out and put Jerry Rice in.
You know who I'm gonna put in as my
Miss Carita Parks right now, who was out at Commanders practice today, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Is this correct?
I wasn't at practice today.
Oh, okay.
In the week.
All right. So, Miss Parks, we're about to switch you up. We're going to give you the big box here.
Ooh, put me on the big box. Hey, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome back. We really appreciate you joining us. We have Coach Tim Lewis from the champion Arlington Commanders of the XFL with us right now. He's
Arlington Avengers.
I'm sorry,
Renegades.
Arlington Renegades. My bad.
Don't stop playing around, Pick.
Man, my bad.
Stop playing around.
Look, so
I was going to let it slip for a minute.
Nah, we ain't letting nothing slip, Coach.
No, don't, because I will keep going. I will. But yeah, we're here. We're waiting for your latest news. We love it when you drop us some good jewels on us.
Who is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, is that a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Miss Parks. Do you have anything to offer up to us that is breaking?
I don't know if it's breaking, but if you're asking about Commanders camp, I mean, I think that the biggest story right now is just the energy that Eric Bieniemy is bringing to the offense. And then also just a little bit of the quarterback competition. I still think in the end, Sam Howell will be QB1, but Jacoby Brissett is bringing some competition to the stage. So, I mean, those have really been the biggest stories. But I will say particularly the energy, just because with this team, for so many years, that has been the complaint, is like, especially like in the off season and during camp, has been like, where's the energy? We don't see the energy, but there has definitely not been a lack of energy with Eric Bieniemy there. So I'm excited to see how it translates on the field, because, that's where it really is. And then of course, Chase Young is back. Montez Sweat is back. So,
and Jalen.
Yes.
I said, and Leno's back as well. Okay.
I did see the clip today of the Commanders head coach talking about the quarterbacks, and I was a little miffed, I guess you could say it. I understand quarterback competition, but the way he stated it, it almost stated it where he wanted Brissett to win this competition and allow Sam Howell to sit again. Did he not learn from last year?
That's interesting, because I will say today was the first time I heard that perspective from Coach Rivera. Up until this point, he's definitely been very complimentary of Sam Howell. I think one thing that, if you think back with Coach Rivera, is I feel like he always tries to create a competition at that quarterback position. If you think about it, that's been the Commanders' biggest challenge too, is consistency at the quarterback position. And while I don't always agree with his choices, I still think this is like a must-win year, if we're being honest. I mean, especially if we're going to have new ownership, whenever that deal is finally finalized. But with new ownership, all eyes are going to be on Rivera. I think they would have been on him anyway, but definitely he's going to be feeling the pressure this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some comments that I wouldn't be surprised if you're miffed by some other comments as we go through the off season, because the pressure's on. That's just a fact. Third year, it would have been on anyway, but especially when you have new ownership.
And
And it appears to me I don't see how he can live this out. I mean, is this the fourth or the final year of his contract
He has
when it
one more
comes to
year.
Ron? One more year. There's no way he lives this out. And I think it would be a clean house for everybody, correct? I mean,
I mean, it's possible. Anytime you bring in new ownership, I think it's because of the timing that this season's gonna play out like this season. But next season, I mean, everyone should feel, in my opinion, just because the nature in any company, forget the NFL, any company, if you have new leadership coming in, new ownership coming in, I mean, they're taking a look at things. So, this year they're going to be evaluating everything and making some decisions next year.
and how is Chase looking? I know it was like a slow rollout last year towards the end of the year, and then leading into obviously you would expect for him to make a more of a bounce back. Did you see some explosion? Is it looking like he's on par to be back to where they were expecting him to be before the injury?
I think I mean, I would say they're still kind of easing him into it. I haven't, to be honest, I wasn't there today, so I wasn't able to really evaluate him. But just from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing, I mean, they're still kind of easing him back in because ultimately you want him to be ready for the season. You don't want him to risk another injury. But I'll be able to kind of tell you more when I actually am out there and able to see for myself.
I got a question about both defensive ends. So Montez is playing on his 5th-year option. Chase, they did not pick up his option. Both of them have the same agent. Do these guys realize that they are balling out for one position possibly, and the other one is going to be looking for a new team?
That's funny you say that because, and I don't know how true this is. So this is not coming from Commanders camp, but you're starting to kind of hear whispers that the Commanders are might be willing to trade to entertain or hear some offers when it comes to Chase Young. I'll be honest, I think out of the two, just because Chase's injury took him back so much, I really feel like the pressure is more on Chase Young. I mean, they both need to play well, but I think the pressure is more on Chase Young. Montez Sweat, I mean, both of them, don't get me wrong, they both ballers. When they're healthy, they were a great tag team, but Montez Sweat's gonna ball out regardless. I mean, we saw that regardless of Chase Young is there or not. But I think the pressure is really more so on Chase because they didn't pick up his option. He had that injury. He's been out for a while. Can he be the player that was drafted?
Right. Do you think that Chase needs a change of scenery?
I don't see why he would. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little perplexed at some of the negativity surrounding Chase Young. I mean, obviously the only thing I can think of is because he was out for injured. But this was your first round draft pick. I think you have to. When he was drafted as a generational talent. Right. So I think you have to show some patience. You don't want to show too much patience because sometimes the Commanders can do that. But I think you have to show some patience because this was literally your first round draft pick. And he hasn't necessarily been a bust. It's just unfortunate with that injury. I mean, he was out. He missed 2 years. But we saw that with John Wall. I know I'm switching, but that's kind of what happened with John Wall. He was injured. He was out 2 years, and that was ultimately his demise in Washington. So hopefully we don't see that with Chase Young.
And
yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that before you said it about the whole bus thing because generational talent, I mean, it seems like to me, if you were out for a majority of the year, I don't know. It seems like there's something else to it. Like I don't think he should still be being eased into anything at this point. These ACL injuries don't take long to recover from in today's NFL.
It wasn't just an ACL. It was more than that. He had a major knee injury. Every L you could think of was done. And they had to operate on the other knee. They had to operate on the other knee to bring a tendon over there. That's how bad it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's saying something from the team that they didn't pick up that option, considering he was drafted being a generational talent. So
yeah, but can you pick up that option? It's a risk when you come off such like an injury that he had. Like when you're out for basically 2 seasons, I think it's a risk to pick up his option. So while he is first round draft pick, was a generational talent, I think that was probably the perspective is coming off that injury, they didn't really know or they don't know where he's going to be. But
So
I think Chase is up to the challenge, and
I think he is too.
he's coming
so
in with a better mindset this year, and so I think he's ready.
6 sacks, 30 tackles, 10 for loss. What do you do with that? If we're and I'm just hypothetically, if you're at the end of the season for this guy, what do you do with those stats? Because what does that guy deserve? Because at that point we're looking at everything in a vacuum. So do we let that? Do you let that walk, or do you? Because at that point it's like, well, is he still regaining his legs, or what are you basing keeping him, or letting him go? What are you basing that off of at this point?
Are you assuming that he won't have a good season with those stats, or
I don't know. I'm just wondering, because I'm like, of course you always have to look at the film, So but then I'm also being a Dallas fan and looking at a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, who for years now we've been hearing about how we drafted him to sack the quarterback, but now it's how much pressure he gets per play, and he's a great run stopper. So to me, that's cool, but when we really need you to do something, you're not able to get it done. So those are similar stats to what a DeMarcus Lawrence can get, and it's not worth big bags of money. So I don't know. Maybe it fits in well. Maybe those 30 tackles and those 6 sacks come at the most prevalent times to put you into the playoffs. I don't know, but I'm like, just looking at that, I think sometimes you're either worth the money or you're not, and you just look at the stats for what they are. Sometimes I don't know.
I mean, it's gonna make this coming season is going to make a huge difference. Obviously, they're willing to teeter the fence of giving him the thought that, hey, we are willing to let you go, especially when you don't pick up someone's option. But ultimately, I feel like there's probably a lot of people that eyes are going to be on this season, because I think we're going to end up seeing a lot of changes. It's ultimately probably about to be not completely different team, but I think we're going to see some changes anyway.
Say it.
They might be willing to let Chase Young go, because we don't know what direction this team may decide to go at the end of the season. It's all going to be about results. Like, if they make the playoffs, if they make a good playoff run, everybody will be happy. So I think we have to kind of see how the season plays out. And I do get your point about not necessarily easing Chase into anything, but today was the first day in minicamp. So, and he wasn't at OTAs.
Yeah, true.
And after said, could I ask Coach that same question to look in the eyes of, you've coached these players. What does that look like after that? So.
Okay,
go ahead. Let Coach get that. Let Coach get that answer in real fast, and then say it.
Did he did he choose not to come to the OTAs?
Oh yes.
OTAs are voluntary though, so let's also you see players across the league, because it's voluntary. It looks good to come, but it's still their choice.
yes, and yes. So he chose not to attend. Okay, that's an interesting. Is it because he's injured, or he's afraid of injury?
There was no explanation. They don't necessarily have to give an explanation. I'm guessing. I mean, my guess and my hope is that they didn't want to risk injury.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's valid. So if there's still a lingering thought that maybe he could get himself hurt while he's out there, then yeah, probably a good idea to stay home. Otherwise, not a good idea, and it's not a strong message
to the rest of the players.
To the rest of the players, to your teammates, to your coaches, to your owner.
Yeah. So, after missing 2 seasons, you can't risk.
No.
In my opinion, you can't risk getting injured in OTA.
Yeah. And then there's also, that thing where we would have Jerome Bettis, for example. He is Hall of Famer. Rod Woodson. They would come to OTAs and they would do their thing, and they would pick and choose which drills they were going to do, and we were fine with that. The message is very clear, that when you decide I'm not even going to show up, I don't even want to come to the meetings, I don't even want to sit in on anything. That says something completely different than I don't want to risk injury on the field. So let's not conflate the two issues. The two, when you make a statement that, hey, I want nothing to do with you, I'm just going to stay at the house and I'll show up only for mandatory items or mandatory things. That's way different than I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
Metaphor hit it right here.
I just want to add one more point. Chase did talk to the media today, though, and yep. I mean, he sounded motivated. He said he felt like he had something to prove, and so I don't get the sense it was a matter of I don't want to be around the team. I do think
that's cool.
And he seems to know he has something to prove, and he's ready to get back on the field.
And he's really a great player. When you talk about generational talent, yeah, and so the expectations to your point and to your point, he if he gets close to being what he was supposed to have been, way different than Lawrence, and on the cusp of getting a lot of bags. So it would behoove him to go out and have way better than a 6-sack season and a couple of pressures. So
I think he's gonna be shooting for it regardless, because you gotta think. I mean, he's playing for two things. He's playing for the Commanders to keep him, but if the Commanders don't want to keep him, then he's playing for another team to pick him up.
Both of them, to my point, they're both auditioning for the same thing. In reality, for a contract with the team that you are with right now, if you choose to stay, because they will have a choice. Mm-hmm. And 31 other teams said, get in there.
Well, I'm not talking about Chase. We don't beat that horse for a while. I'm going to move over to the offensive line. Have you seen any rotation through the offensive line, or are they just doing general drills together?
So I wasn't out there today, so I can't really speak to whether or not they did general drills or rotations or not. So I don't want to, and I haven't heard, just like, because I still talk to like the media that's out there, and they didn't really. Today, a lot of the talk, like I said, was around like the enemy, Chase Young, the quarterback competition, but I didn't really hear too much about like the rotations and how they kind of handle the offensive line today. I'm gonna guess. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'll guess they probably just went through more drills today.
Yeah, I was hearing that they finished today in 7-on-7, and usually this is the Eric Bieniemy effect. Usually the offensive line just sort of stands around, meanders and things like that. But Coach, what's his name? He was at Pittsburgh, and it's Coach Masco, I think his name is. No, it's not Masco. But Coach had the offensive line doing some other things while 7-on-7 was going on, which is the way they ended practice, which is great. So here's my question for you. Emmanuel Forbes and Jahan Dotson have been having some pretty good battles. Just talk about that for us, please.
That's going to be exciting, especially Emmanuel Forbes, because I know there was questions around why they take him over. I forget his name escapes me. But
Gonzalez.
Was it Chris Hernandez?
Christian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, yes.
Yes.
But yes, so the talk was like, why did they take him? But he's living up to everything that at least Coach Rivera and Martin Mayhew said as that for their reasons for taking him, being a ball hawk. I mean, he's had interceptions. I'm sorry. Yes, he's had some interceptions. He's got his hands on the ball. Jahan Dotson, he's exciting as well. So I'm loving that. The wide receivers, that's gonna be fun this year. But I always think the wide receiver room has always been fun to me, but quarterback has been the issue. So they haven't really been able to show out.
Right. Yeah. So with Sam, will these three wide receivers start to get more recognition There have been lists that have come out, and the Commanders' wide receivers are way outside the top 10 as a trio. But we know most of that is due to the dependency on the quarterback.
Right. And that's the thing. I feel like the Commanders have had the talent. They've had the talent, but with so much inconsistency at quarterback, I mean, even Terry McLaurin, even though he's had some great seasons, I think that he could have even better seasons if he has more consistency at quarterback. Sam Howell definitely has the arm. He's been pretty consistent as well, just with his throws and everything. So I think that will they get more recognition? Maybe. I still think with the Commanders, there's always that lack of respect sometimes. Let's just keep it real.
Well, all right. So we have a question of the month, and we got it. I know you. How much more time do you have with us?
I got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, great. We're going to use all 5 of those minutes.
Okay.
All right, so we have a question of the month, and it comes from Don Wilson, who's in our chat right now. He joins us the first Saturday of every month, and he had a great question, so we're going to ask every one of our guests for the month. Your top 5 NFL players of all times, regardless of position.
Oh, gosh. Top 5.
She's gonna be like the Hogs.
Oh God.
No, I'm just
Oh God.
Top 5.
That's a great question, right?
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's your top 5.
Do I need to go? I'm gonna let.
Oh yeah, we've already answered.
First.
We already answered. We answered on Saturday.
Oh, you did?
Yes, ma'am. Look. Here's Don. Look at the chat. Don says that face.
So some of my top 5, y'all gonna be looking at me sideways.
No.
It's just your top 5.
I'm gonna have to throw in some of my Jaguars.
The NFL's been around for 100 years. You have a lot of players to choose from.
Right.
But I would definitely Deion Sanders.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Deion Sanders. Russell Wilson. I do like Russell Wilson. That's my guy. Maybe the Seattle Seahawks version of Russell Wilson, by the way.
not Fat Russ.
Carita Parks.
I know. That's just I've always, for whatever reason, I
it's her 5. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
It's her 5.
I mean, my 5 was different from your 5. My 5, your 5 of them is 5. It was.
Let's see. I have to throw in, because like I said, I'm from Jacksonville, so I'm gonna throw in Fred Taylor, even though they haven't put him in the Hall of Fame. I think
he will be soon. He will
coming.
be soon.
Yeah, he coming.
I think he definitely deserves it. I like Emmitt Smith. I've always liked Emmitt Smith as well.
Oh, you're a Florida girl.
Who is my? I know. I'm definitely.
She's throwing Gators in here, left and right.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
SEC players.
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that, but I've definitely been in one part of the region.
Say it was like, nah, man. Say it. I gotta hear your list. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Go ahead, Sam, so I can think about it.
You want to hear my?
Remind me of your list, please.
Said you grabbing your list.
Yeah, hold on a second.
You should know it by heart.
I know my list. My list number 1 was Barry Sanders. Number 2 was Ronnie Lott. Number 3 was Doug Williams. Number 4 was Gary Clark. And number 5
Williams.
Talking about all these Florida players.
Come on,
I'm sorry. Number 5 was Barry Sanders. Number 1 was Walter Payton.
Come on, bro.
Did you say number 1?
Doug Williams.
Number 1 was Walter Payton. Yes, sir.
Stop it, bro.
Not disrespect Doug Williams.
Please stop it, bro.
That's
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
He was an assassin at quarterback.
Doug Williams.
Man, you know what he did in Tampa?
I have to fight the air with the just unreasonable bias that I have to coach. This is what I have to deal with.
Coach,
I just want to let you know. This is what I have to deal with.
I
I'm
got
gonna
some.
need you to straighten him
I got
out.
some as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
Like,
go ahead, Sid. Go ahead, Sid.
you know, I'm like Coach. I'm a defensive player first. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
Mhm.
Lester Hayes was on my list.
Who was that?
You know,
I'm not being
King
funny. Who was
Stidham
that?
himself.
Great
Stick
corner.
him.
Stick him.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Texas
know.
A&M.
Listen,
Like,
I was born in '87. I was born in '87. I'm sorry,
That's why your list was so
And
recent.
then,
Shots
of course,
fired.
but I know Doug Williams is just a farce. I know that's a farce.
On there.
Okay.
He was drafted by the Falcons. I always liked Deion, especially because he played both ways. You know, he also played with Atlanta. And then, like Carita, I also had Emmitt Smith on my list.
I ain't mad at that.
He gave us trouble when he was in Florida. You know, he gave us a little trouble when he was in NFL. You know, that was the old Florida, so we're not gonna talk about that. But anyway,
come on, finish him up. Come on.
Then I also had one because, like, Coach was talking about somebody who actually changed rules for or because of Megatron. Megatron was a person they changed the way you receive the ball.
Yeah, pretty
because
good.
of Megatron.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's pretty good.
Now he quit just like his fellow Detroit Lion, fellow Detroit Lioner. That's why I can't put neither one of them on the all-time list. You quitters.
Well, you know what? Hey, they also had. I'm glad you wasn't here. Said it. The debate was
Megatron and Barry Sanders.
He never left Detroit. I really was. He had an opportunity to leave Detroit and go to a better team, but he never left.
You said
and then my last one.
Retirement is not quitting.
He didn't stay. He didn't want to lay off the weed, man.
Retirement is not quitting.
Cause he wanted to smoke that ganja, like Ricky Williams.
He didn't have no knees, man. He was getting chopped to the ground.
You got like an issue, like if that's your issue when you're an NFL player and it's that bad, it's like, bro, you can't just stop for the NFL.
Hey, giving away money.
Does he really want to win if he had the opportunity to lose? So
you want to finish your list?
My last one was John Abraham, the Predator. He became one. He became one of the greatest pass rushers by the end of his career. I mean, I had him
here in Atlanta.
He was a monster.
Yeah, he's a beast. He was a beast. I love Abe. I happened to be with a guy that was a little bit, in my opinion, better, Julius Peppers. If I were going to go with a long, tall defensive end, outside linebacker type, I would have picked Pep before I would pick Abe. But Abe was a beast, though. I had both of them. So.
Of course, but you hear the bias, Coach. You know I can't do anything about it. I ain't mad.
You're going to have some homework. You're going to have some homework that's going to.
I'm not looking at those guys up.
NFL film.
You said Sticky. You said his name was Sticky. I ain't looking up. I ain't looking up Sticky. I ain't looking up Sticky.
Hey, that's where the glove came from.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I'm just messing around, y'all. I'm just messing around. But no, let me also say my list was the only one that wasn't Cowboys biased, even though that was my team. So thanks a lot.
Hey, listen. When you say Doug Williams, if you go back and look at what he did in Tampa,
we're gonna go back to Doug.
It was ridiculous what he did in Tampa. The yards that he put up. Come on, man. You can't disrespect Doug. That's like somebody saying they don't know who Darryl Green is.
Yeah.
You said another Washington player.
No, it was a cornerback in the league that didn't know who Darryl Green was.
I mean, I know who that is for sure. But.
And what was your last one, Ant? You never said the last number 5.
No, because he's waiting on Miss Parks to finish her list first.
Did anyone say Jerry Rice?
Yes.
A lot of people said Jerry Rice. So you can take Jerry Rice. That's cool.
Yeah, that was going to be, I was like.
Yeah. The GOAT. Listen.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'll go Walter Payton.
That was a good.
I'll go Walter Payton.
That made me think.
I'll go Sweetness.
Yep.
Well, we'll have you back next month when Don brings us another question so that we can see those eyes again that Don's laughing at.
That was fun, though.
Right. Great exercise. And thank you, Don, for that question. We're asking all our guests this week. Wizards update. They've done a lot of work here a little bit, and I know you cover the Wizards as well as the Mystics. You got anything for us there?
So So this Thursday, the Wizards are having the introductory press conference with Michael Winger, who they hired as president of Monumental Sports and Entertainment. So that'll be great. We'll finally get to talk to him, kind of learn more like what's his vision. We got the NFL draft coming up. Let me make sure. I think it's just Winger because they have some other hires as well. But we definitely get to talk to Winger on Thursday, so I think that'll be very enlightening. I mean, I'm just interested. We don't have a clue yet because, like I said, we haven't had conversations with them. I was at the Wizards pre-draft workouts on Saturday. He was there along with the new vice president of player personnel. So both of them were there, but they were off in the cut, so they kind of keeping them away from the media until Thursday. But I'm just interested, just kind of pick his brain more. He's not going to tell us exactly where he's going, but I'm just curious about, especially the whole Bradley Beal situation.
Yes.
No trade clause, but what is his thoughts there? That's going to definitely be a question. But I'm just interested to see how they're going to handle the path forward. I think that this team, I think the roster could really, for all we know, get blown right on up.
So pay attention to Miss Carita Parks on Twitter. She'll keep you up to date with the Wizards, Mystics, Commanders. She's always doing her thing. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was a good time. Appreciate it.
All right. We will
glad to see you again.
Good to see you all again, too. Nice to meet you, Coach.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you,
all right. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, y'all.
All right, bye. That was Miss Carita Parks. Sid jumps into the big box as he always does.
Hey.
All right. Now can we get to it? Can we get to it? Coach.
Go ahead, Ant.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry to have to bog you down with all these useless things that Pick wants to bring up because he clearly wants to run away from the fact that the DC Defenders, who are so awesome and they did all these great things, ran into a powerhouse. And the champion. Oh, yes, it was. All your little great points and all your great offense.
Right,
how do we mute him? Said mute him. Said mute him.
So
this ain't about you.
That the DC Defenders did beat the Renegades 2 out of 3 times, but they did lose the most important one.
So please,
totally revamped
team. We only played them. We only played them twice.
Twice.
They had to beat us in overtime the first time we played them.
Yes, It was a very good game.
They got lucky.
And listen, I gotta say, yes, I'm DC everything. They said it in the intro. I'm DC everything. Ant's Dallas everything. But he does quit teams really fast and move on to the next one. Like he's all about the Rangers right now because
right now I'm a Rangers fan forever, but I don't accept mediocrity, unlike you guys. So anyway, he keeps trying to get off of it. So please walk us through the season a little bit because, in all seriousness, DC did kind of dominate during the regular season. And even just we were basing it off of records, it seemed like there was a lot of, figuring it out and kind of, for lack of a better word, stumbling along. So what was the process in correcting certain things throughout the season to getting into the playoffs and then ultimately winning that championship?
Well, it's just like in the NFL, in any sport, there's a certain position that you need to be efficient and proficient in order to win. And in football, it's the quarterback situation. If you have a quarterback, i.e. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, you have an opportunity to win games. If you have guys that are not named one of those, it's going to be very difficult. You can get through the playoffs, you can get to the playoffs, you can do all that wonderful stuff, but the bottom line is at the end of the day, those guys that have those players that are generational talents, they're the ones that are going to be the winners in the ultimate game. Well, when we started the season, we started 1-0. We beat the Las Vegas Vipers at home, and they had a quarterback on their team, and his name was Luis Perez.
Yeah, it was.
Luis Perez was my quarterback when I drafted him. So he was a kid that went to Texas A&M Commerce, and he won what was the equivalent in Division II of the Heisman Trophy. He won the Harlan Hill Award for the best player in college football in Division II the year that he came out. So I drafted him in the AAF, in the Alliance of American Football. He was my first draft pick. He was my quarterback. So we played them. We've gone our separate ways over the last 4 years. We played them, the Las Vegas Vipers, head coached by Rod Woodson, in our first game of the year, and he threw us 2 interception returns for touchdowns, and we won the game 22-20. How ironic is it that 5 weeks later, he's on our team and he takes us to the championship? So the bottom line is, we didn't really have a quarterback up until that point. We had one guy start, then he got benched. We brought in another guy, then he got hurt. Then we went back to the other guy and we benched him. He wanted to get off the team. So we were going nowhere fast. And the bottom line is, we get Luis, and we ended up now the Houston team, the Houston Gamblers, the Houston Roughnecks beat us twice during the regular season, and we beat them in the playoff game to get to the championship game. And just what's crazy is over the last 3 to 4 weeks of the season, the 2 teams that we lost to, Houston and DC, we avenged both of those losses to win 2 in a row, the divisional round and then, of course, the championship game. So we ended up getting a quarterback that could, if you look at our stats during the regular season, 4-6 during the regular season on the 10 games we played, I think we were ranked at or about last in almost every statistical category offensively, and ranked first or second in almost every statistical category defensively. So it was a tale of if we could just get somebody that could deliver the ball to the guys that are open, we had a really good shot at winning, and that's what happened. The scores indicate exactly what happened. We got a guy that could actually get it to the open people, didn't throw it to the other team, didn't turn it over, could get first downs, a guy that could make plays. And that's what Luis did. Is he came in and he settled down our receiving core, our running backs, ran better because now he was able to throw and catch. Our defense wasn't on the field as much because we were able to get some first downs and stay on the field offensively. So we were able to get some rest. It was an amazing transformation to watch the team go from absolutely woeful. And we scored as many at one point. I want to say we scored as many defensive touchdowns as we had offensive touchdowns. We were that bad. And
Coach,
go ahead.
We saw you guys play. Sid and I, we went out to watch you guys. I did like 2 games that day. I can't remember who they played, but I like you guys. You could clearly see your receivers were able to get open, and you had a problem at quarterback. And it's like Perez literally changed everything.
He did.
Your tight ends you had a good tight end. Your wide receiver, I think number 89. Is it number 89? Said or 81?
Yeah, we had a tight end. Number 80 was Sal Canella, and then we had some really good receivers. Kids that could. I mean, they could flat out run. We had 85.
That's who it was. At one point we said, why is he not in the game? Because he was just separating from it. I was like, it was like, I think he don't want to play no more because the quarterback.
Oh man, I think they had all gotten to that point. The offensive linemen didn't want to block for the quarterbacks that we had. They were all upset, that we just weren't getting it done, and there was a lot of frustration. I wouldn't say necessarily in the locker room, but I know. As a coach, you can hear the whispers when you walk through the locker room. Guys are just shaking their head like, man, this is terrible. And then when Luis came into the building, he got all that rectified. He met with the players extra. He put in hand signals. He put in, he talked to the offensive coordinator about route concepts that he liked to throw. They recognized that he could actually, he can throw the ball. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to run the football. He's not going to dance around in the pocket, and he's not going to run bootlegs and nakeds, and he's not an RPO guy. He's not going to run the ball. That's not who he is. He is a stand in the pocket, pocket passer, and so we developed the package around him, and it worked out great.
So my question is, with the way that he transformed your team, I haven't checked to see has Mr. Perez got another invite to the NFL?
I'd like to know that myself. I don't know that that's the case, but I did see that. And testament to all of our coaches and our coaching staff. Coach Stoops put together a really nice staff. I want to say that we had the least amount of players get invited to NFL camps throughout the league. So we had the championship team had maybe, I think, Willie Taylor, I do know, is one of our outside linebackers, got invited to a camp, and I think our deep snapper got invited to a camp. And
I think the defenders are in the same boat with you. Like they had, I think maybe 3 players get invited. We had the coach on as well. We had the defenders coach on, head coach, and I gotta say, you're the defensive coordinator. Lucky Johnson was probably one of my favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do to Lucky? He was clearly frustrated in the championship game.
What we decided to do was to play them man to man. And we decided to, the zone stuff was not going to work because they're an RPO team and they have a quarterback, that can run the football. I was a little bit shocked that they didn't play number 3 more. He gave us a lot of problems in the game that we played up in DC, the overtime game, the regular season game. And I thought we would see a little bit more of them. They didn't play him, I don't think, hardly at all, and maybe a snap or 2. But I was more concerned about it going into the game. But we decided to play man-to-man coverage as opposed to a quarters concept or a half-field concept or a deep third concept, or zones just weren't going to get it done because of their RPO game. It's hard to get enough people in the front unit, in the run-stopping unit, to stop. Their running back was really good, and then to stop the quarterback, and then to be able to cover the receivers with any kind of continuity. The only way that you can stop them is to put a guy on a guy and just play him coverage. That's what we did. We played him coverage, cat coverage, I call it.
I got this cat. I got that cat.
And we played with basically nobody in the middle of the field the whole game, and just said, you know what, we're going to have to line up and play them toe-to-toe, man-to-man, and just take our chances. And that's what we did. And we were fortunate we got the win.
Coach, I got a question for you from the gallery here. Racer for Life asks, who's your top safety? Your top safety. I'm guessing you're asking it all time, right?
All time?
Yes.
Oh my God, Jesus, that's really hard. I coached Troy Polamalu, and I love him, so he would have to be one of them. I've been around Ronnie Lott. I've been around the kid that passed away with the Redskins.
Taylor.
Sean
Taylor.
Unbelievable. I've been around, Ed Reed. I would have to say, I saw something on the internet. I'm on Facebook, and they do these things on Facebook. They present to you 4 names and 4 pictures.
Yep.
Start 2, cut 2, and the 2 that I started were Ronnie Lott and Troy Polamalu, because they're very, very different, but at the same time very athletic. Could both play corner if they needed to. They could play man coverage, zone coverage. They hit, they tackled, they intercepted the ball. Those are the kind of guys. I don't like the one-tool guys. I'm not like, I love Ed Reed. Ed Reed was a fantastic, football player. He was an interceptor. He was not a down in the box, mix it up guy. That's not who he was. But he was not scared or anything like that. But that's not who he was. He made his Hall of Fame, campaign because he could outsmart every quarterback in the league, and he could go get the football.
He did it to Peyton.
Taylor was a huge human being that could run like the Dickens, and I would love to have seen his career go on. We're all robbed there, but the dudes that did intercept it, tackle, cover, blitz, sack, are Polamalu and Ronnie Lott. And because Ronnie is much bigger than Troy, I would say Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott. All right, there you go, Racer for Life, Ronnie Lott.
Missing finger himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 2 on my list. He was number 2 on my top 5.
Yeah. He's a different dude.
What if there's a trait that these safeties that your top 4 would have had? What's the one trait that they all share that you would think?
instinct or awareness. Really super smart. The safeties that I coach would kind of like be like the catcher in Little League baseball, the guy that understands the game the best. He kind of has eyes in the back of his head. He can see right and left. They play in the center of the field, unlike a corner. A corner plays with his back to the sideline, so he always knows where his 12th defender is. So the game is kind of easy for a corner because everything is inside of you all the time. Everything is to your right or to your left. Whereas safety stands in the center of the field. He's got to be able to play with shit coming from his right and his left all the time, and it's always gone every which direction. So, and he's the deepest person on the field most of the time. It's a difficult position to play. Yeah.
Instincts and awareness.
Instincts and awareness. I think they have to have in spades. If they don't have instinct or awareness, they're not tough. They're not physical. We always talk about smart, tough, and fast, and those are the three traits that all of them need. But I would say smart would be the number one thing. I could get by with a guy. Like, for example, we won a championship with a guy this past year in our B League football, the XFL. But my guy was a 4.79 40, and he could cover to the sideline because of smarts. Like, he knew when to start running, and he didn't wait until the ball was in the air. He would just start running because he knew, based on film research and study, man, I better get a jump because I'm a 4.7 guy, almost a 4.8. I can't run worth a crap, so I got to get going. So he was smart enough to understand that part of his game, and I think that's really important for a safety. I want a guy that sees the game the way I see it, and that coach on the field guy, really important at that position.
Well, he was still faster than Pick, Coach. So
No, he wasn't. No, Pick went 4.45.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
No,
Sounds good.
That's official.
Let's talk about now. He'll outrun you now, sir.
Yeah, I got two bad knees. I got no
Yeah,
L's.
you okay,
knees.
Megatron?
I got no L's in my knee. L. I can't do the L. None of that. I'm none of that.
Wow. Was Megatron better than Jerry Rice?
No.
No.
He had a
No
better
way.
quarterback.
No,
Oh,
no.
definitely. But he still wasn't better, though.
Yeah,
He still
Please,
wasn't
no.
better.
he had a better
If you
quarterback
take-
situation in San Francisco than what Megatron had in Detroit.
Okay,
Yeah, but
switch,
for
switch
all
team.
but hold on, for all intents and purposes, Megatron was more naturally gifted than Jerry Rice ever was, and he still couldn't match none of the stuff that Jerry Rice did. Let's put some respect on Jerry now.
No, I'm
hold
not
on,
saying
no,
he
but-
was
I had to look off when I said that.
But if you
'Cause I hate-
switch teams, if you take Megatron and put him with Joe Montana, and you take Jerry Rice and put him on that Detroit team, no one cares who Jerry Rice is. He
That's
doesn't
not
do
true.
that.
It's
Ooh,
not
I-
true. You can't say that. You can't say that.
Ooh, I don't
That's
know
just
about that.
egregious.
Absolutely can say that.
Megatron never won anything. Do you forget that? So you're assuming all of a sudden he's
Okay.
a 3-4 time champion or something?
Name
Stop
one of his
it.
quarterbacks. Name one of his quarterbacks.
Who?
That's not the
Megatron?
point.
Name one of Megatron's quarterbacks.
The last
He only
one,
had
Stafford.
one.
Name him.
Stafford was the last one.
That was the last one he had was Matthew Stafford, and the only
This
reason
is how
Sam
he-
knows that is because he comes from
No,
Georgia.
I know Matthew Stafford, but that's not the
Well,
point.
name another quarterback. Name another quarterback.
This is the only one he played with. He only played
not
for
the
a
only one he
handful of
played with.
years.
That is not. the
Doesn't
only one he
matter.
played with.
Doesn't matter.
You
He
can't
still
name
put
his
up.
quarterback.
He still put up good stats. That's the point, though. So
With who?
it's he put up good stats. What do you mean with who?
With
He's a freak
Joe-
athlete. He put up good
Good
stats.
stats with Joe Montana. Jerry Rice put up great stats with Joe Montana. Right?
We don't even know. First of all, we don't even know if Megatron could have played in that era of football. You
I'm
just
not
said
taking
they took
anything
out his
away.
knees.
I'm not taking anything away from any quarterback in the NFL because they
Was
made the
Steve
league.
Young as good as was Steve Young as good as Joe Montana?
No. He was good though, but he wasn't Joe.
He had 5 quarterbacks.
Hey, Listen,
don't care.
I'm just
sorry.
saying.
Jerry
He ain't
Rice
better
is
than
like
Jerry
38
Rice.
years old and still catching for over 1,000 yards.
And if
I just don't believe that if Jerry Rice is not with the San Francisco 49ers, if he goes anywhere else, he's not the GOAT.
hey, you know how ifs work, right?
Come on, Ant.
No, let's just can we stop with the hypotheticals?
My opinion, Ant. It's my opinion. It's
Listen.
my take. If you switch those players on different teams and you give Bill Walsh, Megatron, a wide receiver that's 6 foot plus that can run like the wind. Come on now.
How many teams did Jerry Rice play for?
3.
2,
Do you remember
3.
those other
3.
Raiders, 49ers,
The Chiefs, and 4. He played with 4 teams: San Fran, the Raiders, the Chiefs, the 49ers.
Do you remember him
The
with
last
the
one
Raiders?
was Seattle.
Do you remember him with the Raiders?
No.
Yep, I do. How do you not remember him with the Raiders?
No.
We can't take him serious.
No.
Yes, I remember him
don't.
with the Raiders.
I
Yes,
don't.
I remember him with the Raiders. He still had great numbers. He still had great numbers with the Raiders.
I
remember-
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Ant. But all I'm saying is, Stafford was his last quarterback. In his short career, he had 5 different quarterbacks. All I'm saying is, had he had better quarterback play, kind of like
What I'm saying.
had he had better quarterback play, his numbers probably would be a lot different than what they were toward the end in his country.
Thank you, Sid.
But you also said he had opportunity to leave and he didn't. And we also know that he did quit. He did the same thing that Barry Sanders did. He quit. He stopped. He definitely had more time. He had more to play for.
And how many
He wasn't 40. How many? I don't want to hear that crap, Pick. I don't want to hear that crap, Pick.
Listen.
He
didn't get hit no more. He didn't get hit no more less than any other receiver that's played in the game. So who cares? He quit.
No.
I like the.
He wasn't a dog.
There's an interesting statement that you made. Like if he had better quarterbacks, but that argument is kind of a different one. Because like for example, if I had played behind Lawrence Taylor, I might have had more interceptions.
Facts.
So, I mean, it's not a great argument that if I had done blank, the fact of the matter is he had who he had, and they were all professional quarterbacks, ranked by somebody as a professional. So they were out there. It's kind of like saying, well, if we haven't had
Coach,
to play
it's a dependent position.
Good Lord.
Wide receiver
just like cornerback is dependent on the rush.
On the offensive line. That's absolutely right.
Can I ask Sed a question? If you mind? I just want to ask Sed a question. No. I just want to ask Sed a question. Sed, I just got a question for you. So when Fred Smoot is on here and I question Fred Smoot, they say, "Oh, he's a professional. He played the game. Why do you ask him questions?" When Coach makes this point, who's coached and played 21 years in the league, he gets to give all this kickback about what he said. It doesn't matter anymore, sir. He said what he said. It's over with. Thank you for your opinion, but you didn't play in the NFL. You didn't coach it.
I give Fred Smoot the same.
Jeez, no, but it doesn't apply to you because he's your guy. I'm saying I gave Fred Smoot kickback about something, so it doesn't even apply to you. It ain't about what you give Fred because that's your guy. That's what I'm telling you. So it doesn't matter.
What did Fred say?
Favoritism for Fred or Coach.
It was just in general. It was just in general stuff we were talking about. Like he said what was the main argument that we were talking about? He was saying something about Patrick Mahomes and how you can't. I said something about the Eagles really needed to make the moves that they made in the draft because they didn't get a sack in the Super Bowl. And he said, well, you can't really count that because Patrick Mahomes is this generational talent and I'm like, that doesn't matter. He's got sacked in the Super Bowl before. It's not that he's such a great runner no, you got to get it done. And so I was basically giving them kickback about a few things. And they were riding me about it. And I'm just like, that's not a good argument.
We let you ask your question and nobody kicked back at you for it.
That is not true. Stop doing that. That is not
That
true.
literally was between you and Fred.
Okay, we can roll the beautiful bean footage now. We can go get.
You're gonna have
We
to go
can
back
get this
because
stuff.
that is
Not-
definitely not
not
what we were
that
talking
beautiful
about.
bean
My
footage.
my question.
Yeah, we
was
can
gonna
roll
be-
that beautiful bean footage.
My question was going to be with regards to now she was on talking about the Redskins and
Yes.
how Bieniemy they've got more energy at practice and so forth. The thing about coaching that we realize is it's really not about the X's and O's. It's more about the Jimmies and Joes.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, when you have a Patrick Mahomes and that running back, that number 10 or whatever his
Pacheco.
and then you have that tight end, and you
Kelsey.
have that offensive line, and then you have that kid playing quarterback that runs all over the place, that does a whole bunch of stuff that's unbelievable. It would be interesting for me to sit back. I would love to be able to go to a practice and just watch, because energy and all that stuff, enthusiasm, and that's all important. But them dudes pulling the trigger, them dudes that are actually throwing the ball and catching the ball and running and dodging and weaving and bobbing and blocking and all that stuff, that's way more important than bringing that package, that big old sheet of paper that he and Andy Reid look at on the sideline. That's all well and good. But if you don't have the dude that can do that,
Thank you, Coach.
That fourth year in his contract will be very short-lived.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it, especially after you forgot that you win the game, you make the playoffs. You lose the game, you're eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's a fireable offense. Like if he had a boss, a general manager, or even a present owner, there would have been a conversation. But he was his own boss. When you're a head coach and you forget that is a fireable offense. And tell me I wasn't upset about that. I told you guys, I came on and I said, that's a fireable offense.
That's fine. I just do appreciate the fact of all this energy stuff. He can run around there all he wants to. If those players don't execute, it ain't gonna matter. That was my point, though, and I get it.
Well,
I understand how energy could be infectious and contagious and all of that. But at the end of the day, you need guys who can get it done on the field when it matters most. You need that quarterback to hit that slant. You need Chase to get that sack when it matters, because that's only gonna contribute to whatever the enemy has going on if they win. So that was my point.
I think that I really think that with the energy thing that they're talking about is the tempo of practice, because there's no walking anymore. But the other thing that Eric Bieniemy is bringing that a lot of people talk about is accountability. So when they mess up, it's not, oh, my bad, coach. No, he calls them out. Like if you let a little thing go, that little thing becomes a big thing.
Yes.
And what is it that they say? Coaches coach harder off of a win than they do off of a loss, because a loss is time to hug your players and let's get it together. But you can coach harder off of a win. But when you start winning so much, when you start seeing teams get to 15, 16, 17, oh, I'm sorry, well, not 17, but 13, 14, 15, and 0, little things become molehills now. And that's when you see that big fall at the end. Am I correct, Coach, about this?
Yeah. I mean, everybody sees it different. The bottom line is that's like a Chuck Noll-ism, all the way back to Don Shula-ism, take care of the little things and the big things will take care of themselves type of thing, right? But
right.
I worked for a guy that told me one time, I was doing an individual period, and I had Chris Gamble and Ken Lucas were my corners, Richard Marshall. And we're over there backpedaling and we're planting and driving and we're doing what I called EDDs, everyday drills, where I'm just trying to get them warmed up and teach them a little technique along the way, right? And the coach came over and, Tim, what are you doing? Don't waste your time doing all that stuff. Just tell them where they have to be and they'll get there. They're pros. He said, that's the problem with you guys that are fundamental guys. You worry so much about the rabbit pellets that the elephant turds drown you. So everybody sees it different. Everybody sees it different, so.
Right. I got you.
And that's
Coach.
That's all I can say to him too. I said, well,
Coach, I swear this has been great. We're definitely gonna have to have you back again, and you got to make this happen. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys met. So can you tell us one thing? I understand that you met Ant in an adult establishment. Did he have
What?
like a
Man,
a
hold on. Stop
Did he
saying it
have
like
a
that.
Did he have a
Stop
7-Up?
saying it like
Did he have
that,
a
man.
7-Up in an umbrella, or
It
did
was
he
a
have?
cigar bar. No,
It was a cigar lounge. But stop
Cigar
saying
lounge.
stuff like that, man. That's not funny. Anyway, yeah, we were at the Blueprint Cigar Lounge, and he heard me arguing with Fred, who's just makes horrible points and wouldn't let me get mine out. And so he was. I saw him watching from the sideline. He was just laughing the whole time we were going back and forth. And before he left, I looked down. I seen his credentials. I was like, "Yo, you with the XFL?" And so, we talked and exchanged information. Man, he was a good guy. So.
Oh, I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
And
not when you
your buddy that was he was trying to get his point made. He
didn't do a good job of it.
he did not do a good job.
He sounded a lot like Pick if you think about it.
Well,
He
first off,
sounded-
my points are all valid. My points are all valid, and I make my points. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you. We
Yes,
will
sir.
definitely have you back, Coach.
Look
We
forward to
do
it.
appreciate you. All right.
Anytime. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Thanks.
All right. Ant, outstanding job. There goes Ant jumping in the big box. Said we'll let him stay there for a little bit, okay?
Nah.
All right.
What we got left?
we got NHL left.
Okay.
We got 2 topics left.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we do. We have 2 topics left. Thank y'all for hanging in there with us, man. It's been a great show. I'm pretty sure Lady A is watching and finding us as we speak. So let's jump off into our first topic. We're gonna go NHL. The Las Vegas Knights are 2-0 versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm sorry, the Florida Panthers, and they don't seem to be taking any prisoners. I mean, they are doing it every which way. Penalty kill, toughness, short man on man. It's just amazing. What are you guys seeing from this hockey series? And do we have the possibility of a sweep here at the NHL final?
Well, first of all, pause to a lot of what you said. Short man on man. They doing it a lot of ways. I don't know how I feel about that. But
5-on-5, man. Come on, bro.
But anyway, yeah. See, he's talking crazy. What? He's getting a little buck wild. But yeah, listen, man. Vegas is a juggernaut right now. Yeah. Vegas is looking like a juggernaut, man. Like I said, when you're bigger, stronger, faster, you have more girth, and you come with the force. It's a lot of times you gonna take that L. So if you're the smaller guy, you might as well just go ahead and just, you might as well go and call your mama. So
Make the announcement. Make the announcement.
no, I'm just saying, man. The bigger guys are typically gonna give you a pounding. Is all I'm saying. So that's all I'm saying, y'all. Where did it go?
Bro,
I'm trying to hang it out.
That's all I'm saying. Back to you, Sid.
But I mean, I already said at the beginning of the series that Vegas was the more aggressive squad. They was taking shots from every direction. I mean, you name it, whatever club they was in, they was shooting it up. So I mean, I'm sure it was there.
I'm done. All right.
I think Vegas is the more athletic team in this series. And I don't think it's gonna be a sweep, but I do believe Vegas in the NFL.
Lady A, come back
Man,
here quickly.
we about to get in trouble.
That was a good one.
That was a real good one.
All right, that's enough of this, okay?
All right.
Because when we talk about the Las Vegas Knights, that's all the stuff that's gonna come from me. I'm sorry.
All right, I got you. Oh wow. Okay. Whew.
Lady A, say
Last
tell
topic.
The last topic is cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts, Isaiah Rodgers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Isaiah Rodgers is about to get hammered.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
But he's about to get hammered because not only did he place at least 100 bets, he actually bet on his own team. So we're
Pete Rose
he's
for
probably
real.
looking at 2 to 3 years minimum.
Okay.
They gave Kevin really 1 year for one bet.
Yep. Over 100 bets. Listen,
Over 100.
the toothpaste is out of the tube, and you can't put it back in.
Well, there's a little trick you could do, but I don't think most people are privy.
Right. Listen, the NFL is serious about this gambling thing. They will find you no matter what, and I think that Isaiah used like another person to place his bets, but gambling on the sport itself does a lot to hurt the integrity of the game. I mean, you already hear people thinking that the NBA is like set up and things like that, right? For this person to go, exactly, Pete Rose, 12-year lifetime ban for life. That's possibly what this kid is looking at. Now, he did come out and say that he's sorry for what he did. He's willing to accept whatever happens, but player, you're about to lose a ton of money, and everything that you worked so hard for is about to go away. So, man, I don't think it's worth it. So, and some of his bets were like less than $100, right? I think he placed like, maybe they said, I think like 4 that were like four digit bets, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ant, what you got?
Listen, man, they not playing about this stuff, and it's interesting to say the least. I mean, I think this kid has a problem. 100 bets?
Yeah,
I mean, that's OD. Even a guy like, who's the guy who was the receiver for us for some years? He was the receivers coach for the Browns, or who was it? Miles Austin.
yeah.
I mean, nobody's putting up that number of bets. Like, I don't know, man. I don't. Does he play ever again at this point?
So.
Like,
I don't think so.
See what I'm saying? So I just think
they got to make an example of somebody.
But who's gonna care about this kid? Honestly,
the players, they got to make an example of somebody.
Right, but I'm saying, I guess my thing, like I'm saying, is I'm gonna forget this kid's name tonight. Like, he's not the guy that you make an example out of that's gonna mean something. But I also think that the NFL is just too hypocritical for me. That's the thing that is very hard for me to look past, is what they represent, even whether it's player safety, whether it's the sponsors that you have, the things that you endorse. You're not really dealing with anything, but then you'll jump down a guy's throat for placing bets. It's hard for me to really fully accept these things. I understand it's the rules. I get it. And they take a class of it during their symposium about, what'll happen if they bet. I get all of that. But come on, man. I don't know how it works for the NBA, but I would like to think that Adam Silver will find a way to bridge the gap in some of these instances so that things like this don't happen. And I know that might be an outside pie in the sky type of way of looking at it, but I just believe that Pete Rose himself, one of the greatest baseball players to ever lace him up, shouldn't be banned, especially if you could go back and look, okay, he never bet against his team, he only bet for him. I just don't think some of that stuff should be in the world we live in, let alone today's NFL, NBA, whatever. I don't agree with it.
He bet on his own team. He was betting on the Colts. You can't do that.
He bet for him to lose?
You don't know yet. You don't know yet. We don't know yet. But when you're betting on football and you're playing football, it leads you to think like that Last Boy Scout movie. You know what I mean? When old boy, hey, you better make something happen. And he come out and how he's shooting to get to the end zone. Of course, it don't count. And then he shoots himself in the head. But
you talking about Last Boy Scout? I love that
Last
movie.
Boy Scout. Yeah. Listen, Thursday we have we'll get you guys ready for the Preakness, and we'll have more mini camp talks from around the league, and we'll have some NBA and NHL talk for you guys. Hey, we appreciate each and every one of y'all. I need a couple of y'all to hit me up. Bruce Glass, I need you to hit me up. I know you're watching. And Metaphor, I need you to hit me up. Send me a text, and I'll contact you guys back. Thank you so much for watching First Ring Podcast. Sid, did we cover everything?
Everything.
Everything is covered. All right, man. Listen, shouts out to my son, United States Air Force. First Ring Podcast, second to none. Come get some. What?
What?
Second to none. Come get some. Tell him, say it.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Ready for your beats? Our first song is the person.